Premiership football. At the end of it all, it is a share of the spoils between Mamelodi Sundowns and Stellenbosch Football Club. And we did touch on just how good Mamelodi Sundowns have been in front of their home fans. Stelli's only a second side this season to deny the champions a victory here at Loftus. I've got Teko Modise as well as Stanton Fredericks alongside me. We're going to reflect then. Have spent some time in reflecting on what we've seen so far, or rather throughout the course of the evening. Donna, I was sitting with you. What were you seeing as it played itself out?
I think we anticipated that Stelli's will come in the second half with a better formation, but they're still stuck to their guns. They still defended very low, not allowing Mamelodi Sundowns to find those holes inside the midfield, not allowing Sundowns to find that fluidity in the midfield. Yes, they didn't deal with the combination, especially on the left-hand side where Matthews, I think, was instrumental in certain instances. But then again, if you look at it holistically, it was a game of small margins. Two mistakes, one in the first half, when Modiba tried to play the ball back to William. William made it safe. In the second half again, the ball also, one of the unlikeliest runners, made a run in the deep line and then find a penalty because of Ndumane and Ndumane making that foul. Other than that, we never really looked at Stelli straight in those opportunities. But yet again, you listen to Coach Gavin after the game, speaks about staying in the game, keep the formation, we'll have an opportunity because they have Mamelodi Sundowns will deploy more numbers. And after that, I think maybe those spaces, those are the things that we actually anticipated the build up. As then those are the spaces they will try and utilize. And guess what? They got that goal because of the space that was left behind, the ball being played there.
Yeah, Simon?
Teko mentions Gavin Hunt saying we've got to stay in the game. Even when you go down by 1-0, you still need to stay in the game. So he never changes formation. They continue to be defensive, and they knew that one opportunity was going to come, and eventually it came. Just a question: if Jabbar was a substitute, Jabbar was substituted on, he then got injured. Only then did Mabasa come. Now, would that change? Would have come a little bit later, and would it have been a little bit late? But those are the things of the game. If you stay in the game, you still give yourself an opportunity to come back, and I think that's what Gavin Hunt's side do very well. Yeah. Even if you go down by a goal, there's no need to panic. There's no need to now immediately change your formation. In the second half, the first two changes on the hour, on 60 minutes, was a Sundowns shot, not a Stellenbosch shot, because you think you have to react, and that is the experience of Gavin Hunt, staying in the game and eventually giving yourself an opportunity to get something, and that's exactly what they got. They take away a valuable point, something that not any team in the Betway Premiership was able to do.
So, before we have a look at some of the moments that stood out there, was there a case of Sundowns allowing Stelli's back into the game today?
I don't know, because with Mamelodi Sundowns, whenever we look at Mamelodi Sundowns play, immediately when there's no dominance in midfield, we always seem to think that there's a problem. But then again, which is creating the opposition. Look at how Stelli's worked so hard in that midfield. Look at the substitutions that were made. Most of them they were done in midfield because there was so many legs that needed to be done. We never saw Ayende having free flow game. We never saw Debza also having free flow game, which means the work that has been done by Stelli's. But yet again, there were always spaces on the right side, which we saw that with Matthews also on the left hand side. He was doing that, especially in the second half. I think they could have maybe created more opportunities from the second half, especially on that side they could have scored. But yet again, by staying in the game with Mamelodi Sundowns, I thought as well, you know, the way that they were playing, slowing the game down, yes, you're killing the game in that way. I never saw Stelli's maybe having that type of opportunity as well. But within the space as well, being able to have a plan to say, whenever there is a space, when we win the ball, let's try to play it a little quicker. Maybe with tightness in the pitch, Mamelodi Sundowns staying alert because of the space behind. But now look at the person that makes the run. It's not an out and sprinter. So therefore, maybe taking a little bit of chances of stepping high up on the pitch, and then you live in that space that normally you didn't do in the first half. Maybe those elements, those smaller margins of maybe lack of concentration as well from Ndamane, maybe that one that's maybe really costed the game.
Yeah, it was Tumani Butaka who made that run, isn't it? That won the penalty for Stellenbosch. But that was right towards the end of the game. Let's take you back to what was happening in the first half, because we saw in the opening 20 minutes, it was Stelli's really not allowing Mamelodi Sundowns too much space. However, once Sundowns got out of that sort of trap that Stelli's was laying for them, once they started playing free-flowing football, it looked the part.
Yeah, not only in the first half, but the second half as well. This left-hand flank of Sundowns was untouchable with Modiba and Saleh's controlling as well, and Tashut Matthews doing the job there. But this pass inside here from Modiba was just excellent. And then again, we spoke about that, a little bit of lapse of concentration in the defense, and Molesani coming out, creating that gap, and goal scorer in Sabaleng taking advantage of that.
Donna?
And yes, I mean, when you're playing against a deep line a block like Stelly's done, it needs a lot of movements. Needs sometimes to be able to change a little bit of gears whenever you get into certain situations. Yes, you see Tashrik is the one that changes gears to come in with the ball because playing lopsided. That's when you can supply those 1-2s. That's how they were able to draw Mamelodi from the defensive line to be able to utilize the space behind. But if you're trying to play in and around in front of that defense, you are unable to break them down. So you need to some point one player to take initiative, and that's exactly what Tashrik has done there to be able to open that defense, to be able to get that goal.
Yeah, Tiki Ntabeleng with his second of the season, second in as many matches as well. And we saw something very similar to that then. Stiga played itself out yet again from Mamelodi Sundowns. This time there was an offside flag, but Tash, this time he was on the end of this move.
Yeah, once again Modiba to Sales and Tashrik Matthews there with a brilliant time run, very close. I think he was offside, from our vantage point, but I tell you what, that's the type of finishes we need more from Tashrik Matthews. He gets in those opportunities quite a bit there, but you can see just the run there. Very close to goal. We're going to need some technology to intervene and give a clear chance there. But once again, that left-hand side so effective for Sundowns.
Only Sundowns long legs there. Maybe Donna playing Matthews onside. The question though from that is, did we see enough of that from Mamelodi Sundowns, particularly in that second half?
No, we didn't. And as a footballer, you would want maybe to think that, when things are going well for you, you always want to have the ball on your feet to try and we saw that with Tashrik as well, getting into those moves. But yet again, in the second half, maybe because of now you're in the lead as well, you're chasing the scoreline. There's certain instances where I thought maybe Sundowns would be able to just to try and play the ball forward a little bit quicker, but they didn't. Yet again, look at the left-hand side again, where Mamelodi Sundowns was so dominant, with Tashrik being involved again. But you want to have more of those actions, and then it comes back again to what Steve said. Tashrik finds himself in goal scoring opportunities. He needs to be able to be clinical, because in tight games like this, he can't be just a person that wants to assist. He needs to get into goal scoring positions and to be able to be clinical. But I guess because of the ball position that they were having, maybe the lack of concentration actually may play the part.
Okay, he is again heavily involved with some good work down the flank in locating Marcelo Allende. Now, while we're watching all of this, it brings me back to, the little that I heard from Coach Katiposo. He says we should have scored because we created enough chances. How do you reflect on that?
Yeah, I agree with him, Ole, 100%, because even with the substitute made, the introduction of Leon and Temba Zwane, that increased the attacking ability of Sundowns. You could see then they were easily opening up the spaces and they created opportunities to score the goal. So I think, like we mentioned, two mistakes, second half one mistake, and it allowed Stellenbosch. But fortunately, we have to give credit to Stellenbosch. We say Sundowns never created enough of those opportunities. Stellenbosch never allowed them enough of those opportunities. Even with the introduction of Zwane, yes, it did open, and this is where the clinicalness needs to come in for Sundowns, and they know that, and that's why they'll go in there thinking that they threw away 2 points here.
Okay, and perhaps so we're going to have a look then at Stellenbosch and their equaliser, and it's worth noting that during this period there was very little, as you mentioned, that Stellies was creating going forward. So yes, they will put their hand up and take a penalty whichever way it does come for them.
Of course, I mean, when you're under pressure like that, you'll be chasing the shadows, you'll be chasing the ball. Whenever you have this type of opportunity, of course we'll take it. And you look at also the pass as well. You look at how Mamelodi Sundowns shifted towards their right-hand side. It opened the gap on the left-hand side. Utsaka's coming from out wide to make that run from Mudiba's side, to make that run from Ndamani to try and anticipate. But it's a ball that comes from Sage Stevens. You could be able to read the ball, but because Sage Stevens never played those type of balls enough in the game, so therefore you don't think that it can happen. But Sage Stevens took a risk, saw Butaka making a run, and here at all you can see Ndamani, fixed his eyes on the ball, trying to clear the ball, but Butaka being brave inside that box, ending the team a penalty.
It is Teho Mabasa, almost as if the football gods decided to add a little spice to the title race. A man whose mother club is also in the title race, still top of the standings. He steps up and finds the back of the net. I want to go back to that tackle though from Ndamani. You could tell he was fixated on the ball. You can tell he already committed. Just is it a case of mistiming?
Yeah, I think in hindsight it's easy to say now, if he never made the tackle and ran towards the goal, he would have had enough time to have stopped Butaka. But this is where experience comes in, and unfortunately for Ndamani, you've been caught. You don't want to concede so late. So the first reaction is, I can't get to the ball. And to be fair to him, it looked like he was going to touch the ball, but then he slipped. If he did not slip, he would have got his leg to the ball and the danger would have been gone past, and we would have been standing here with Sundowns and 3 points. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be.
I'm wondering as well, Jonathan, if this particular incident is happening maybe 20 minutes earlier, where maybe starting to think the points, we have to protect the points. Maybe he doesn't commit.
Maybe it doesn't last years. Maybe if it happened a little bit earlier, maybe it was going to push Mamelodi Sundowns also to come and create more chances to try and win the game. But unfortunately for Sundowns, it happened later into the game. And also from a playing point of view, when you're in the pitch, you look at the opportunities that maybe Steelers have created, maybe 1 or 2 or 0. And then you tend to be in a more relaxed zone because of you're a team of Sundowns controlling the tempo of the game. You know that you can kill the game still with the ball position. You don't need to score 2 goals. 1 is still enough. But yet again, that rest defense, which was never troubled, to be honest. The entire game. Only now when Sage Stevens has the ball, seeing an opportunity to play the ball there, that's when they got trouble. So it's unfortunate for them to be able to concede that long, but also fortunate for Steelers to stay in the game, to believe that maybe there might be an opportunity there. Because if you don't believe, you never get into those type of positions. And gratefully there for Botsaka being brave to get into that position, not anticipating that, not maybe believing that Ndaba will clear the ball, just also himself as well, fixating into the ball, making sure that if he doesn't clear, I'm here. And fortunate for him, Ndamane missed the ball and they made the tackle inside the box.
And unfortunately, a penalty was handed to Stellenbosch thereafter. Spaces all over the pitch, particularly for the speed and the fresh legs that Steadies had brought on, Stephen.
Yeah, but did you see the experience of Mabasa's touch? Did you see Butaka finding Kipido in the space? And I tell you what, if ever there's a counter-attack game, when we used to train this at training, that's how you train. 1 to the striker, back to the midfielder, into the space, cross and a finish. That is a picture-perfect goal that any coach would be proud of. But that is offside.
That's tighter than I thought it was.
Yeah, initially at first glance it looked like it was way offside, but you could see that's leaning on the offside.
Yeah, for Stiga, who used to play for counter-attacking, play out wide cross, what. Now you must run, man.
I remember, but that's straight from.
But we know that that's Coach Gavin's strength. He'll be able to find space and try to play in. But also from Mabasa's experience, you can see Grant is slowing down a bit. As a striker, maybe slow down a bit as well, because you know that the ball's going to play in front of you. Maybe trying to burst into that space, not early, but a little bit a second later, because then you stay on one-side. But unfortunately, with Julian Renault's goals, you just scored a penalty, you wanted to have the winning goal as well. But I think that half a second, he could have stayed onside. He could have actually grabbed the winner for Steelers.
Yeah, the bench from Stellenbosch Football Club, they all came running onto the pitch thinking that was the winner. It wasn't to be. The offside said no. Now, the numbers then that tell the story of the 90 minutes. In looking at those numbers then, Stiga, what do you think? Let's start with the home side in Mamelodi Sundowns. What do they take from this? It's not a defeat. It's a point that gets them closer to Orlando Pirates, still with the game in hand.
Yeah, look, we always knew that Sundowns, and we marked the fixtures that was going to be difficult.
Yeah.
Stellis, Kaiser Chiefs is always going to be a test.
Yeah.
And that's a test that both Orlando Pirates and Sundowns had.
Yeah.
Right? Away to Richards Bay. It's always going to be a nice test. So today, I think you need to just shake it off. You still have the opportunity to get the 3 points with the game in hand, and then the picture will look a little bit different. But I tell you what, the nerves are starting to show, and it showed in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, I guess maybe you can take solace in the fact that there's still a number of games that needs to be played. But then again, you're a team that has been so dominant at home. The last time you dropped points, it was against Orlando Pirates. And maybe that as well, maybe that can be put into factor the fact that whenever we have home games, guys, we can't be dropping points. And these are the challenges. It's towards the end of the season, everybody's playing for something. And you need to be very, very clinical. Even the small chances they've created, you look at the attempt or maybe the number of shots that they had on target. Still is at more than Mamelodi Sundowns, and I think those are the numbers that they need to change. Whenever, especially you're trying to chase, you make sure that you consolidate those type of points. Yes, we need to see more touch rate. We spoke about them. We need to see more of Reynolds as well, being able to just to test Sage Stevens. But yet again tonight it wasn't there because they're playing with a low block. They need to anticipate again that whenever they go into Polokwane, What is it they're going to sit? And they also play on transition as well. As to then, what is your rest defense like when you have the ball? And also, whether the opportunities that you create, even those half changes, you need to be able to punish, to be able to control the game with football. But yet again, you have teams like Stellies that has a plan that will stay on the game. You need to be able to anticipate that throughout the season because there's still games needs to be played and there's still points also to be played for.
Yeah, still plenty of points to be played for, particularly if you're Mamelodi Sundowns, who up next, they travel to the now notorious Mhlatuze Sports Complex. We've got then on the other side of the pile is Stellenbosch Football Club. What do they take from this? I bring this up because they are also away to a difficult place to travel to, that is the old Peter Mokaba Stadium.
Yeah, and it won't be easy for them, but I think this take all the confidence. Gavin Hunt will rile his charges and say, listen, we should have gotten 3 points there. Another big test for them, and they need to fight their ways into the top 8. And a lot of confidence will be taken from this point game for Stellenbosch.
So then, Orlando Pirates, Kaizer Chiefs, they are the two headline teams that are going to be in the headline tie of the weekend in the Betway Premiership. Not on a Saturday, but on a Sunday, the Soweto Derby, where Amakosi are up against the Buccaneers. So then, the two of you have played in the Soweto Derby. Let's quickly get your, how many days are we? 5 days out? 5 days out? Your 5-day prediction could change. Many things could change between now and Sunday. 5-day prediction. Which of the two change rooms would you rather be in? Going into the Soweto Derby.
My prediction is still cooking.
Hey, just give us which of the two change rooms?
No, because I've been in one change room, which is Orlando Pirates.
Yeah.
Of course, those are the type of games that you always want to play.
Yeah.
Derby is important. You actually need to understand it. As a person that played football, if you really want to be in those type of times, because it's unexplainable, you need to be there. But also the importance of this one, because of the significance that it has, not just the bragging rights, but also from a position point of view. Kaizer Chiefs playing for,
top three
as well. Orlando Pirates want to actually extend the lead. I'm sure they're watching this game today, with interest. So it becomes such an important game. So we're anticipating good football, and I'm sure Kaizer Chiefs fans are not expecting to see that embarrassment that they faced not so long ago. So it'll be a game that maybe Kaizer Chiefs fans are looking to see Kaizer Chiefs coming into the game and make the game interesting.
Stiga, final thoughts?
Pirates will be extra motivated after this draw. They'll come out there guns blazing, knowing that this Betway Premiership is back on, and they'll be looking for nothing else but 3 points. That's going to make it so much more difficult for Kaizer Chiefs that needs to respond after the last result against Orlando Pirates.
Okay, if I'm not wrong, the both of you are working on the Soweto Derby?
Yes,
That's
we are.
right.
Okay, so you'll hear more insights from both Tiko Bodise